What's going on, brothers and sisters? Chris here from Namaste Gaming, and I'm hard at work trying to get the Mesmer guide done in time for the weekend, but I just wanted to touch base with you guys real quick and chat about the new Sky Pirates of Tyria patch preview that's gone up over at GW2.com. The footage in the background is me flailing my way through Ascalonian catacombs for the first time in almost a year. I spent most of the run trying not to die like a total noob, and things went pretty well considering, so do your best to ignore the fact that I'm playing like I just ate a handful of assorted pills. I promise future dungeon footage will be less painful to watch. So, it looks like this patch is dropping on June 25th, and the weird thing is, with these recent updates, I'm never quite sure if we're going to be getting hours of content or just minutes, but let's try and see what we can get out of the information they've given us so far. First off, we've got a new story dungeon, the Aetherblade base. Apparently it will take skill, courage, and no small measure of agility for us to battle our way to the Aetherblade captain and first mate. I pull two things from this. First off, they seem to be strongly implying that this is going to be a legit dungeon, molten weapons facility style, and I really hope that's not just wishful thinking on my part. What I'd really like to see is an explorable dungeon designed by the dudes who did the Molten Facility, complete with a new set of armor and weapons, and of course the requisite tokens to buy them with, but if this is done as well as it could be, it's going to be the next best thing. Second thing I pull from this is the no small measure of agility bit. Are they implying that there's going to be a jumping puzzle as part of the dungeon itself? I don't know whether to feel excitement or dread right now, to be honest. I'd be excited for anything that changes up the game. We do need a bit of a flavor injection to create some variety in the dungeoneering experience, but at the same time, my poor atrophied Mario skills have not translated well to this game so far. I'll admit it, in this game I am pretty much jump-tarded. I suppose I'll just take this opportunity to apologize in advance to anyone who groups with me for this, in the event that there is a jumping puzzle. What do you guys think? Would a jumping puzzle as a required part of the dungeon be a good thing in your opinion? People seem to have a ton of trouble with even just the COF boulders, so it seems like a bit of a pug ender to me personally, but I know a lot of you guys have way more dungeon experience than me, so maybe you'll have a different perspective. So that's the new dungeon. They've mentioned a few cool drops like an infinite tonic recipe and guaranteed rares, as well as a chance at getting a monocle from the final boss, which is pretty cool, but that's not all that's coming our way. There's a Sea of Sorrows scavenger hunt as well, and, well, it's a book tie-in. Good marketing, I guess, since you can find clues to the location of the plaques in the novel, so hey, in-game incentive to pick up the book, right? I really don't think these guys know who Delphi is and why she completely invalidates that concept, but good on them anyway. Regardless, the plaques tell the history of the rebuilt Lion's Arch, and if you're into the lore of Guild Wars 2, I'm sure it will be worth doing either way. The reward is a curious choice in my opinion. You get 5 skill points for completing a scavenger hunt, and I say it's curious for 2 reasons. The first is that I haven't really ever heard anyone complain about a lack of skill points being an issue. For those of you who haven't made it to 80 yet, once you hit 80, you keep on leveling up and getting skill points, and it's super fast, so this is already a devalued currency. The second reason I find it curious is because they had already mentioned in the past that they wanted to reward certain achievements with laurels, and this honestly seems like it would be a great place to start. I think most players would be really happy to receive a laurel or 2 or 3 for finishing this scavenger hunt, and it doesn't seem like it'd throw their progression gating too far out of whack. What do you guys think of this scavenger hunt idea and the 5 skill point reward? I really feel like it would have been a great introduction for laurels. Too bad. Anyway, there's also a new jumping puzzle on the way that sounds like it could be pretty cool. I mean, an airship in a holographic mountain, complete with an opportunity to go diving? It'd be pretty tough to go wrong there. Better still, it rewards you with a set of exotic shoulders on completion, so here's to hoping that they look badass, and that maybe ANET does us a solid, puts Berserker stats on them so that they're not useless to half the people who get them without making us buy transmutation crystals. That'd be pretty bro of them. That's it for PvE stuff, but don't close this window yet, my sweet PvE kittens. This next part affects you too. The new build on the 25th is going to introduce the largest balance patch ever. Every single profession trait line is seeing changes, and they're also updating less popular skills to be more desirable. Reading their blog on the balance changes, there are a few things that stand out. They've got some new Grandmaster traits coming. The examples they gave are Elementalists will be able to recharge their air attunement, Necromancers will have access to burning, and Warriors will get a trait that removes conditions when they use a burst skill. Those all sound pretty good to me. Doubling up on skills like Shocking Aura and Ride the Lightning sounds like a game changer for Ellies. Necros could use some better condition pressure, and the Warrior one at the very least opens up some new build possibilities and might allow for World v World builds that don't include Dogged March or Melandru or Soldier runes. So that's pretty cool. Ready for the kicker though? And I quote, "With these changes in mind, we are going to be making a few builds harder to achieve due to their extreme effectiveness. Some traits will go up in tier while increasing in potency to promote build variation." Yeah, the Nerf bat, she's a-comin'. While they haven't named names, if your build currently has a name and a post on the official forums, don't count on it being around after the patch. I'll be covering the balance changes in a separate video when they're implemented, but for now, bust out your umbrellas so you're ready when the Reign of Tears hits on the 25th. For those of you who didn't follow Guild Wars 1 at all, ANET's style of profession balancing tends to revolve around buffing certain things into OP-ness, pause, and nerfing good things into the dust, then slowly tuning both into some variation of sanity over a couple of months. Maybe they'll be a bit more moderate here, maybe not, just don't be surprised if your favorite build isn't nearly as strong a few days from now. That's far from the end of this though. My dear sweet Necros, finally some good news for you guys. You're getting a number 5 skill in Death Shroud. It's called Tainted Shackles, and it causes nearby enemies to be inflicted with conditions and controlled if they don't take quick action. I'm picturing something with a short but obvious tell a la sped up version of Churning Earth, and I'm hoping when they say conditions, they mean all the conditions. Something like an inverted version of Save Yourselves. Tainted Shackles will also be applying a brand new condition called Torment, which is a damage over time skill that does more damage when you move. Necros won't be the only ones with access to Torment though. Thieves and Mesmers will also be getting access to it as well, although no details yet on how they'll be applying it. Could be super OP or totally inconsequential, but either way it's really interesting and definitely adds some new spice to the metagame. Speaking of conditions, weakness is getting a buff. Previously, it didn't affect crits, and since in PvP and World v World, any damage-oriented build is running around with at least 30% crit chance, and usually a bit of fury on top, it was pretty, well, weak. It's going to apply to crits now, so instead of just ignoring it, you'll probably want to save your harder-hitting attacks for after it's been removed or fallen off. Great change in my opinion. The last bit of info we've got as far as balance goes is on stun breakers. Some are getting moved around, some are getting removed, and some are getting added. I'll reserve my judgment on this until I see what goes where. This is a tricky thing that could actually affect balance just as much as any of the other changes, so we'll see where the chips fall. Aside from that, custom arenas are out of beta despite the fact that the filter system is still in need of we'll say a bit of work. Once I get my legendary, I'll be setting up a server or two for us. I'm not too sure right now if the servers are cross-region or if I'd need one for NA and one for EU. I'm kind of an SPVP noob, but either way, I'll do my best to make it happen. Finally, Mortar Mastery is being added to the list of World v World abilities, so if you really like raining fiery death down on your enemies, you'll be able to increase the blast radius, do more damage, lower the skill recharge, and if you sink enough points into it, you'll even get an extra ability called Mortar Barrage as well. Sounds pretty cool. In my opinion, the Mortar is the toughest piece of Siege to use well, so I don't think we'll see a ton of people speccing into this, but if it's as powerful as the other masteries we've seen so far, then it'll be pretty cool to see how it impacts the World v World meta. Anyway, that's all for the patch preview. As usual, keep an eye on this space for a discussion and impressions video after the patch drops, and of course let me know what you think about the incoming patch in the comments section, and I'll hop in and chat with you. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking the like button, and if you're new around here, go ahead and click the sub button. There's plenty of good stuff on the way. Much love to each and every one of you beautiful people. Stay black.